Hey everyone, welcome to Rocky Tropics Gardening. Today I'm going to show you what happened with my ginger. This is something that a lot of people will know about in the tropics. It's quite easy to grow your own ginger. I've been growing this over winter just because I didn't really have a garden last year because I was selling our house in the tropics, and I've just been growing anything I can, honestly. So when I saw the ginger in the shops and it had little growth nodes on it, it was ready to go. Sometimes they cut them off, which is a bit of a shame, but I got the ginger, so I thought, why not? I'm just going to plant it. So it grew over winter. It grew from the end of summer into now, which is in the southern hemisphere in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia. It is currently the end of July, and I think it's died off as much as it's going to. So I'll just show you what happened the last time I picked up this pot. So there's a pretty good indicator with the top just falling off like that. I have had it inside in my bathroom. It was a really nice plant, and still it started to die off, so then I shifted it to my mini greenhouse that I made myself. So I'll just tip this out and see what's happening. Oh, I also have my turmeric here just for show, really, because it's not quite finished yet. All the goodness is still going back into the rhizomes. They're not bulbs, they're rhizomes. So we will leave the turmeric for now. That's in my mini greenhouse as well. So we'll just loosen this a little bit. It still feels fairly loose. And there you can see there's a gap on the side. I'll just empty it out onto my potting bench, make some room, and see what's in here. Ooh, not too much. Oh, that wasn't good. See what happens here. Maybe I'll reuse that. This is not very good quality potting soil, so I've just been making do, really. Okay, so it hasn't done a whole lot. Unsurprising. Okay. Not too bad. Oh, look at that. It's got some nice roots on it. So, growing from summer into winter is not ideal. It's not really what you do. But it's getting going. Look at that. It's got some nice root formation, and look at all these beautiful buds getting ready for spring. So I've done this out of season, as I do with a lot of my things. But it is growing, it is getting there. So that's a cute little hand shape, isn't it? A little paw. Anyway, it is doing things. So I'm going to put it back in here, perhaps with a better mix. This is quite wet in the bottom, and I wonder if that's not helping. So we'll put it back where it was. I'll give it another go for spring. I might plant it a little bit higher than it was, and I'll mix some of the sugarcane mulch in there with it, and it'll loosen the mix up a little bit, and it'll shoot like a crazy thing for spring. Alrighty, there you go. Top of that, I can almost see the sunlight, and I think I'll just water it in like that. But growing that out of season still did achieve some growth, which is great. So if I would have kept that ginger rhizome, if I just would have kept it in my cupboard, it might have just shriveled up and not been able to be used. Sometimes you just don't see them out of season. So now we're ready for spring, and it'll be taking off. No worries at all. So spring, summer is when you grow the actual plant. I was just pushing it because I found as I said, I found the rhizome with little growth nodes, and I thought, why not? But it is doing things, and hopefully it'll forgive me and take off in spring, summer. So I've watered them both and just put them into my little DIY mini greenhouse made out of a couple of shelves. I'll put a link in case you want to make something like that yourself. It's really quite easy. Really wasn't very expensive either. So just put these two little ones in there. Probably get enough sun and shelter and be happy in the cooler temperate area rather than the tropics, because I don't live there anymore, as I've said in my other videos. But if you live in the tropics, I would just leave this in a nice little sheltered spot that gets a little bit of sun, unless you're putting it in the garden, and it should take off in no time in spring once we get there. Not sure if I've featured Sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes on this channel. My other channel is Reverse Homesteading, where I am in the temperate region of Melbourne, Australia, doing more temperate plants there, but these still grow quite well in the tropics. Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes, make sure that you keep them in something that makes sure they can't escape. There's actually core flute under here. I'm hoping it'll work. Just cover it up because it looks a bit better. But yes, they are escape artists, as one of my lovely subscribers on Reverse Homesteading explained to me. You just can't leave them to their own devices. But they grow up beautifully big and tall, and they grow tubers which I think taste, I think they're rhizomes, I think they taste a bit like parsnip, and they look like parsnip too. They're good roasted, and they do have gassy consequences for some people. I think it's inulin that it does that to people in the Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes. But if you soak them in water with a squeeze of lemon in it for half an hour before you cook them, we didn't have any trouble, so it seems to be good. And they grow beautiful little sunflowers. That's why they're called sunchokes. So there's an idea for spring planting if you can get hold of some Jerusalem artichoke rhizomes or sunchokes. Just don't let them escape. The other day on my other channel I planted these little winter peas and I made a trellis. I'll put a link here for my DIY trellis. It's pretty easy to do really, and it might save you a bit of money, and at the end of the season you can just cut the plants off and put the whole thing in your compost if you want to, and it'll be ready for next season as compost. So there's my little pea shoots growing. We did have a whole lot of rain in the dry season. At the moment in the tropics you won't have a whole lot of rain obviously, but if you're expecting rain, make sure you don't direct sow peas or legumes of any kind, because they may rot in the ground like these ones did. We just had some rain we didn't expect, so I ended up having to start these myself in little pots and plant them out. They'll be fine, they're growing really well. As is my snowball cauliflower. I haven't grown these before. It's bigger than a golf ball size. I believe it'll be almost tennis ball size by the time it's ready. So there's a good inclusion if you're looking for something different. As well as mini crunch cabbages, they're always great for the tropics because they mature early and the grasshoppers and caterpillars probably won't get to them before you do, if you're careful. And of course they don't need pollinating unless you're looking for seeds, as yeah, you don't need the bees' help for those ones. In the meantime, hope you're having fun in your garden. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.